Hello, everyone. Social media has become quite a trend in India, especially among the youth. Today, these youth discuss everything about their life, ranging from love, education, money, career, shopping preferences, culture, sports, entertainment on these platforms. Honestly, they cannot imagine a life without it. And as this theme around social media picked up in the last few years, both brands and platforms realized that it can also serve as a sales channel, apart from a marketing channel. This whole idea gave a fillip to the trend of social commerce, where audiences could buy their products from these platforms. According to a recent report, social commerce stood at $2 billion in India, and at the end of 2020, it is expected to reach approximately $25 billion. Instagram. Now let's come to Instagram, which is one of the most popular social media platforms in the country with over 180 million users, is playing a key role, in giving fillip to the entire phenomenon of social media, social commerce. Audiences are exploring and purchasing products via Instagram platform, and they are loving it. Today, we will discuss how businesses are leveraging Instagram platform with the right set of tools that allow direct messages to be integrated into the brand's existing sales and support processes, helping them to generate sales and answering customer queries. So I welcome you all to this wonderful and thought-provoking event on driving sales via direct messages and story mentions on Instagram, where we will see two presentations followed by a riveting panel discussion from industry stalwarts. Firstly, I would now like to welcome Ms. Preeti Rathivarakon, Brand Partnerships Manager, Business Messaging Service APAC Facebook, to talk about Facebook value proposition and use cases. Preeti, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me here today. May I please have the slides on the screen? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Preeti, and I'm a brand partnerships manager here with business messaging at Facebook. That's basically a lot of fancy words for saying I help brands like yourself build great messaging experiences to connect to your consumers and also have positive business impact. Next slide, please. Messaging on Instagram is paramount. Next slide. Your audience lives on Instagram, whether you want to target them at scale or in a hyper-focused environment. From a survey that we've done, we've seen 77% of users allow brands to are very happy that Instagram as a platform allows them to interact with brands in multiple ways. We've also seen 90% of people surveyed on Instagram follow at least one business. So that means to say that businesses are a core of this ecosystem. Next slide, please. So why Messenger API for Instagram? Next. Messenger API for Instagram helps you manage high volumes of customer messages easier. Think about it today. Messaging happens in an asynchronous environment where the consumer is texting you, and at the same time, they're also multitasking and doing other things. That is where the power of Messenger API for Instagram comes in. You are able to manage messages that are coming in from various platforms that you're present on, and also directly integrate them into your CRM through your preferred chat test solution. And that in turn helps you to turn conversations into business outcomes. Next, please. So let's explore the possibilities of Messenger API for Instagram and what it means for us. Next. Let's start with commerce. How can we combine the best parts of shopping in store with the convenience of shopping online? Let's start, for an example, with a pre-purchase inquiry on shops, right? If you think about Instagram as a platform, there are so many channels within Instagram itself that users can actually reach out to you. For example, stories, direct mentions, comments, etc. So when you take a look at this, you can see that most brands as of today are having live agents come in and power those support. What that means is basically you have a customer service team sitting behind the desk and answering questions that are coming across all of these channels. At one point, there will be, if you're a larger brand, you probably have reached the point where there's a lot of messages coming in, and you need to have a better system in managing it. Next slide, please. That is where we start talking about automation and live agent experiences. So in this example, you will see in the first image, a consumer is trying to get in touch with your brand. So they are led with icebreakers, or basically a list of frequently asked questions that actually help guide them and maybe help them get answers that are most popularly top of mind for most consumers. On the second image, you can see that with the help of quick replies, you can instantly respond to your consumers. Then on the third image, you will see that in your responses to your consumers, you're able to send them pictures with details of the product that helps them understand your products and offerings better. On the fourth image here, using the technology that we have, which is called Handover Protocol, you can see that your consumer may want to speak with a live agent or somebody from your support team or a product expert, right? So that's when your customer service representative can then come in and help guide the conversation along, whether it's to purchase an item or even to continue asking questions. We see a lot of this, especially in the beauty brands, where a lot of guidance is required before someone can purchase a product that is suitable for their skin. Next slide. So now let's talk about what Messenger API for Instagram can do for customer care. Traditionally, customer care and commerce used to be in different silos. But now we are seeing that wherever you are, that's where your consumers are, and they do not differentiate whether this is the channel for support or whether this is the channel for commerce. It's all very, very integrated. Next slide. So when we talk about post-purchase customer support with automations and live agents, we can use the combination of different functionalities such as icebreakers, quick replies, and handover protocols to very similarly to what you have seen in the commerce example. You will also see that along all touch points of your consumer journey, whether it's discovery, consideration, purchase, or after sales, you will find that your customers will have questions all along. And with these three specific features to Instagram, we can already enable your consumers to get in touch with you very conveniently, ask the questions that they need to ask, get your agents to focus on more complex inquiries that will help rake in more revenue for your business as compared to answering very popularly asked questions that are very common with other customers as well. Next. Yeah, thank you. Maybe I'll pass it over back to you, Divesh.
Oh, that was a very interesting, presentation, Preeti. I just have a question, kind of a curiosity. So, what are the categories, that are exploring, business on this platform, business on with Instagram API? Which categories? Or it's like, every category is now looking at it.
So that's an amazing question. Thank you so much. Very good question. So we are seeing traction for Instagram across all of the industries. If you think about it, right, I gave beauty as an example, but FMCG, automotive, even banks and insurance, anywhere that you want to reach the certain population with high touch sort of, nice images, you want to drive brand love. Instagram is a place where your followers are people who love your brand. They're the ones who genuinely want to hear from you. So when there's that intent piece, it's very important for you to be there, regardless of which industry you're from. Think about it. Today, if you want to give financial advice to somebody of a younger age group, maybe the best way is on Instagram. If you want to give business advice, or even if for industries like automotive, imagine being able to showcase your car and like really good images about it, very rich media experiences. A lot of it happens on Instagram today.
That's very interesting. I'll come back to you with another query which there. We'll discuss it.
Thank you.
In the next following sessions. So, thank you, Preeti. I mean, that was a very, very wonderful presentation. And now I would like to invite Mr. Tim Krogel, Focus Market Director, MessageBird, who would like to share, the value proposition of MessageBird with the entire panelists and our audiences. Tim, a very warm welcome, to the event, and I open the floor for you.
Yeah, thanks, Divesh, and incredible insights, Preeti. I'm very curious to learn more about this. So good afternoon, everyone. Great to be here. My name is Tim Krogel. I'm the Director of Focus Markets here at MessageBird. And at MessageBird, we want to live in a world where communicating with a brand feels as simple and as natural as communicating with a friend. So whether you know it or not, MessageBird is powering more than 5 trillion customer engagements every year. which basically means that every human being on this planet is using MessageBird at least 2 or 3 times a day on average. So from receiving a promotional message from Tokopedia in Indonesia to receiving your booking confirmation from Airbnb, we are actually powering many customer engagements every year. So to power so many customer interactions, we need to have a global footprint. So MessageBird has more than 800 employees working across many different countries, including India. So leading brands around the world are trusting in MessageBird and are innovating with us, from companies like Google, Facebook, WhatsApp, to Airbnb, or to companies here in Asia like Zalingo, Tokopedia, or Grab. So when I looked at the attendee list today, I noticed that we have a lot of decision makers and C-level attendees today. So I actually have a question for you. Do you think that your company is offering a great customer experience? If you're now not in front of the computer, you share the same opinion with more than 80% of C-level leaders around the world. Interestingly, the same research showed that only 32% of their customers agree with this opinion. So what has changed? So basically, consumer behavior and consumer preferences has changed over the last years. So 75% of your customers would actually prefer to engage with your brand over a private message. And more than 80% of your customers would like to avoid getting to receive a call from you or to make a call to engage with you. So brands need to start to think about building strong customer journeys, including customer engagement strategies, from winning new customers to retaining existing customers. And I think that is where MessageBird comes into the picture. So MessageBird is your toolbox to build seamless customer engagements independently of your role or title. So from software engineers to business developers. And when we're looking into our product stack, when we're looking at the basic layer, we're actually offering solutions from sending SMS passwords in Singapore, Indonesia, or India, or anywhere else in the world. The same for making voice calls, getting phone numbers, connecting via SIP trunks, HLR, SMPs, or show codes. And the reason why you actually dialed in today are the channels. So we're offering a very wide depth in channels, from Instagram, video, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, WeChat, Telegram, and many, many more. I actually want to highlight 2 more channels. One is push notifications and email. We are actually, as MessageBird, facilitating more than 40% of all commercial emails sent in the world. I'm just going to repeat that. MessageBird is facilitating 40% of all commercial emails sent in the world. And when we're looking into the layer above, there are our orchestration tools. So those orchestration tools can help you building great customer experience with no coding experience. So people like myself that have no coding experience can use our tools to build and automate workflows with channels actually within minutes. And when we're looking into the layer above of that, we're also offering solutions, plug and play solutions, where you can actually start to engage with your customers in seconds. So we have a tool called Inbox. It's our customer service solution, omni-channel widget, campaign builder, and Toki. And then when we're looking into the top right corner, this is an important factor to have in mind. We are offering 24/7 global customer support with access to customer success managers, technical account managers, and enterprise support. And we also understand that our customers have to have the requirement to integrate the services into software solutions or CM solutions, like, for example, Salesforce or HubSpot. Coming back to Instagram, there are a few tools I actually would like to recommend you to have in mind while integrating with Instagram. First is Flow Builder. Flow Builder is our no-code visual drag and drop automation tool. So Flow Builder allows anyone to create and customize automate experience across all communication channels. So, and let's imagine your Instagram page is blowing up and millions of customers want to start engage with you, which would be great, right? You need to think about how you can automate all those incoming messages for giving immediate responses, rerouting conversations, and reducing the load on your support agents. And we actually have the ability with our smart AI to help you detect the sentiment of your customers so they can engage with the bot using actually a natural language. So you can also use our platform to train the bot in real time, which is super exciting. Over time, you will find that many of your customers on Instagram or any other channel are asking the same questions over and over. So we are offering an FAQ bot that lets you build a question and answer library so you can give clear, conscious, and immediate answers to your customers. And as mentioned, sometime it is going to be required that your customers have a one-on-one engagement with you. And we're offering a solution called Inbox. And the power of Inbox is it's basically one tool that allows you to communicate with your customers via WhatsApp, Instagram, email, or Facebook Messenger. So we're coming to the last slide. 77% of CEOs in the US said their company will fundamentally change the way it engages and interacts with its customers. And I think that's also the reason why people actually dialed in today. So my question to you is, will you drive this change within your company? Thank you.
So that was, pretty interesting. Yeah, thank you, Tim. That was a pretty interesting presentation, Tim, and you gave some really good insights on, automation, how to, put in bots, to do away the redundant work and, create a more kind of a, personalized connect with the customers. So I have a, small question, and, we did something a month ago around the customer experiences, from where I, learned a lot of things around customer experience. How much of, the customer experience expectations have changed, in last 18 months, especially, the post-pandemic? How much, and brands have been able to, align to the new customer expectations, because the world has moved digital, there's a phygital also there, but, world has largely moved towards digital. So how much of this customer experience expectations have changed from the consumer point of view, and how are brands aligning to it?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think that Devesh, this is a golden question to answer. I don't have a clear answer for you yet, but maybe we're going to figure it out today during the panel conversation by putting our joint minds together. So when we're looking at customers, so customer behavior has fundamentally changed. Customers also have different expectations. The beauty, though, is within the world we're living, new channels like Instagram and WhatsApp allow us to engage with customers in a different manner. So to give you a different example, WhatsApp is now allows customers or brands to engage with brands via promotional messages. And we are seeing great success in working, for example, with Matahari department store, while they're using those channels to re-engage the customers for their loyalty program, or to share with them the news updates on their products. And we're seeing this also same results with Tokopedia, that we're able to significantly increase their click-through rates on the campaigns when they start using omni-channels in their marketing mix. So the question is, how will brands be able to adapt to the new demands of our customer base and our consumer base? And the demand is to engage with those customers on their channel where they're actually communicating with. So we see that consumers are actually not communicating with brands anymore via voice so much. And that's where I think brands need to adapt and switch into channels like, for example, Instagram, that offer a richer environment and more depth for our consumers.
Understandable. Great. I think, that's kind of, solves the query. So, I'll move on to our next session, which is a panel discussion, because, we have now discussed, a lot around, how, these platforms can help businesses, to develop a sales channel. Now it's all about, getting people from different categories, to deliberate more about it and, go ahead and discuss it. And so now I invite, Tim is already here, Preeti is already here. I now invite Mr. Kumar Rajagopalan, CEO, Retailers Association. Hello, sir.
Hi, hello.
Hi. And finally, I invite Ms. Shraddha Sharma, founder and CEO, Your Story. Hello, Shraddha.
Hi.
It's great, all of you have been able to take out time and join this, interesting session. So my first question is to all the panelists, how do you see, Instagram, evolving as a sales channel in India? And I'll start with you, Tim, first. Why don't you take up this first?
Yeah, sure. So I think Preeti already shared with us some very exciting insights and early trends we are seeing. And you also mentioned at the beginning of our conversation that 72% of Instagram users have purchased a product they saw on the app. And this is for me super exciting to see, right? So Instagram has more than 180 million users on the platform in 2021 in India, versus somewhere around 80 million at the beginning of the year in 2020. So I think the market is showing that there is a need for new solutions in consumer experience. So I personally believe that Instagram has a chance, if invested in the right features, to satisfy the demand that our consumers are showing us in India and actually also in the world. So features like having a product carousel in the future, or the ability to send promotional messages, could actually have a significant impact how we're buying products in the future. And I think what's also going to be important is to create more seamless engagements and open dialogues with customers to make sure we're actually offering a richer environment for our consumer base.
Right. Mr. Kumar, I'll come to you with the same question. So how do you see, Instagram evolving as a sales channel for businesses in India? What's your opinion about it?
Frankly, I had a set of answers in my mind before the session today. But after listening to Preeti and after listening to Tim, I'm kind of like a kid in a candy shop currently. And I'm putting two hats of mine, one as a consumer and secondly as a dukandar, as a shopkeeper, right? And the whole expectations of what can be done is now onto a different trajectory altogether. For example, Preeti used a word called conversations. And this was something that was at the top of my mind, telling, listen, everybody sells, but the beauty of social media is the ability to do conversations. And that's a very big difference from selling, because all of us as dukandars are accustomed to selling. But when it is conversations, you're actually giving lots more time listening rather than telling. And that's a very different way of selling altogether. And then it's also about not just about selling, it's about listening to the consumer before the selling process, and more importantly, after the selling process gets done. And that's where the entire thing really changes. The last time when I was talking to a few friends, I was talking about how when you sell a product to a customer, mostly a retailer thinks his job is done. But many a times that's when the relationship is started. After that is when the real the test, or that's when the rubber hits the road. Because the customer is expecting after sales service, they want to get their, for example, if they bought a furniture, they want the furniture to be fixed in the house. Subsequently, they realize in a month's time that the furniture has now got stains. They want to know how do they remove the stains on that furniture. Post that, they realize, while this furniture looks in a particular form, I've got some old furniture that needs a different kind of a look in the house. So that needs to be changed also, or something has to go to make that whole thing come together. So that's conversation. And here, the talk starts from the customer rather than from the retailer. And the retailer has to become a solution provider rather than just a seller. And the beauty of social media is that because the customer is sitting there wanting to interact, it is suo moto they're coming in rather than forcing them to come in or marketing a whole lot of things for them to come in and do things the way we want them to do. So that's where the beauty is. I think between what Tim said and between what Preeti said, because you are able to keep your conversations going, because this whole thing is customer centric, the real term of customer centricity, I think, is getting clarified to me as days goes by, thanks to all these things that's happening, is that the customer is at the center of everything. He or she is telling us what they want. I think that's a huge, huge, huge scope. One has to just keep on listening, trying to give such solutions. And also, if you are then able to get connected with your entire supply chain to create solutions that's really fitting that consumer, and because it's one-on-one, the big thing about social media is that the customer is still thinking that they are talking to you at an individual level. Yes. So that's where the whole thing changes.
Very, very valid points. Some of the very valid points you brought about the importance of pre and post sales interaction, and that the customer is actually thinking that he's talking to a face, rather than an entity, one-on-one interaction. That's pretty valid. Shraddha, I'll come to you now. What do you think about Instagram, emerging as a sales channel? You interact with a lot of brands, at all levels. So how do you see that?
Devesh, thank you so much for having me here. Before I answer how I see Instagram, because we are all seeing Instagram as the go-to place, I think the underlying thing which I find very interesting, and then all of us everyone who will be listening to, one of the big things that we are all realizing, which we knew, but we didn't knew as powerfully, as obviously as platforms like Instagram have brought home to us, that India is a country of entrepreneurs. Right. While I have been talking about startups and we've covered more than 80,000 startups over the last 10 years, India, primarily a country of 1.3 billion people, where 70% is informal sector, right? Everyone is an entrepreneur, has been an entrepreneur, but the world was very localized. And with platforms like Instagram, today, everyone is there. I have to call this out especially, and I hope I can call thousands and thousands of brands who are there. But one, I found in Srinagar, there is a shop in Kashmir. There is a shop called Cotton Collective, right? And they are selling such amazing pashmina to different things. And someone went to Kashmir and said, oh, this is what I bought from this beautiful looking shop in Kashmir. And then I went to, and I'm like searching, I couldn't find it on Google and all that. And then I found it on Instagram. Now, to me, that is very interesting. That today brands and entrepreneurs and people have embraced it because it gives you a level playing field. And to me, that's also a deeper conversation. More than the sales is that it creates an equal platform. I don't have to have millions of dollars today to create a shop and to sell. The whole rise of direct to consumer where everyone has access. And I want to call out, I know so many single moms, right, who had so much of problem and they started out of their home and they are selling through Instagram, and they are, in true sense, becoming Atmanirbhar, truly becoming independent. And, the pride of having your own money and leveraging platforms like Instagram, to me, those are a far powerful indicator of the world, touch wood, for all its challenges, the good world that technology is bringing to us. And I would say that that there are so many stories to be found. And the other thing which is very interesting is that with these platforms, the way Indians and all of us as Indians, I'm talking because this, I have lived in this country. My experiences in this country is, as brands, we don't know what packaging, how to tell a great story, what to do, but we're just figuring it out, right? Like we're figuring it out, looking at what other brands are doing, because Instagram also makes it an open playing field where you can see what is working, what is not. So I think there are a lot of merit, but great time to be in India, and great that we have Instagram.
Great. Always a real-time example always makes the conversation very lively. Preeti, how do you see that? You come from Facebook, the entire family of, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, how do you see that Instagram evolving as a, channel?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So Shraddha, I'll build on your point where I see Instagram as growing, like for me, right? Instagram is growing as a direct to consumer channel for brands of every size. With the incremental growth in social commerce we're seeing around the globe, brands are realizing they need to be present across social media in order to serve their customers better and generate more revenue for their business. Instagram is a messaging-based channel, and it brings about a sense of familiarity, trust, and convenience from a customer's perspective. As that is how they communicate with their family and friends, right? So similarly for businesses, messaging channels like Instagram help grow sales, build loyalty, and increase business efficiencies. Reflecting on your own journeys as a consumer, and very well to Shraddha's point, right? Along with millions of others, you probably explore Instagram for items that you want to shop for gift ideas, supporting locally made goods, or even follow international brands that you love. And what we have on Instagram, such as shopping tags, makes it very, very convenient for you to learn more about the products you're interested in. And that's exactly where a potential customer gets in touch with you.
Very, very, that's very nice, Preeti. Mr. Kumar, I'll come to you. You touched upon the subject of Dukandar. I mean, the local shop owners, in the markets, and we have them everywhere. Like Shraddha mentioned, there's someone from Kashmir, another one probably from Vizag, Tuticorin, or somebody in Alwar in Rajasthan. So we have all of them. And how do you see, I mean, these guys leveraging this platform, to build a business for themselves? How well you see that, they have been able to do that in your experience?
I think we heard the answer from Shraddha in a very nice form there. The fact is that there is hardly any entry barrier when it comes to doing business because of this availability of platforms like this, right? If somebody's got a good idea, if somebody has a good product, in fact, I met one of our friends yesterday, and her mother used to make an item called kadak puri, right? And we as kids always enjoyed it. So this friend of mine who lives in the US has just come back, and then she said, listen, my mother still makes that very good kadak puri, and I've been telling her maybe you should start a business. And the only thing that kept top of my mind was maybe she should, and she can really place it here, while I would help her in placing the item to 20 shops or 50 shops, whatever. But a platform like this is an immediate start, right? It's a takeoff pavilion that's available for her. So this is the beauty with which people are. Similarly, a month before, somebody from the government asked me, how do you sell handicraft online through platforms without getting each one of those sellers to go through this rigmarole of wanting to do their GST registrations and various things? Law of this country is very clear. If you've got very low amount of turnover, you don't need to be GST registered. If they have to deal with other platforms where the platform is billing, then they may land themselves into a situation where they'll need a registration. But if they are selling directly to customer thanks to a social media channel, they don't need to do all that. It's immediately available. So I think it really makes the whole thing democratized. It allows people to start dreaming bigger. It encourages involvement and new kinds of innovations. I think this is where a platform like this comes in and helps people. I have to tell you one more thing that happened during the pandemic. Some of the restaurants nearby were using definitely the food service platforms. But at some point they said, listen, I've got my own customers who is also calling me and asking me for various things. What do I do to take care of this situation? Because I really can't take a phone call every time now and handle it. Many of them went on to creating their own restaurants on Instagram. In fact, I got at least 25 of them sending me directly messages telling now I'm available on Instagram. You can order directly. And you know what? I'm going to give you an additional 25% off. I can see Preeti smiling there because this is a real case story. This has happened. I have bought a whole lot of restaurant food items directly from the restaurants, feeling good about the fact that I'm paying some more money to them because of the fact that I wanted to support these restaurants and each person was supporting each other, right? I think from the nearby Dukandar to the restaurant to the person who is sitting in Kashmir, like what Shraddha said, everybody can dream. The beauty is they can serve to their own customers. Plus, we used to tell that at some point of time in life, geography will become history. And that's what is now possible as a Dukandar. Geography, you can't be bound by geographies. If you're doing something good, you can easily send it to whoever it is across the world. That is where we are. I've had some ghee coming in from some inner parts of Chennai to my house here in Mumbai, thanks to Instagram. So this is where things are.
So is the awareness spreading, about this platform as a sales channel? Is the awareness spreading about it fast? Are you seeing it, rapidly?
I think so. I think so, but I'm sure that that nobody is going to be sitting there satisfied telling it spread well enough. There is always lots of scope, but my interest is definitely from a customer's point of view. Because I mean, we are all taught that when the customer is happy, that's when businesses thrive. And one cannot move their eyes even a little bit away from the consumer in all this. My point that I started initially with is that this is truly customer centric. If you ever dreamt about being with the customer before the sale, during the sale, post the sale, really capitalize all the tools that's available to try and make sure that you are a solution provider. You are somebody whom the customer can talk with rather than you talking to the customer.
Okay.
That's where it is.
Right. Tim, I think, you can all help us all. What are the kind of tools and technologies, I mean, like, which are there, that can help, all the small businesses and, the local shop owners and, everyone in the entire ecosystem, to leverage this medium. And, the biggest challenge is that, people are a little apprehensive, when it all comes about, tools, technology, will I be able to implement them? That's the kind of apprehension which they have. How you can, think you can help them.
Yeah, great question. And I think one of the tools is obviously MessageBird, and I think I shared some of the tools that can definitely help earlier on the slides. But when we're looking at Instagram as a channel, I think a few components are already exciting today. So, like for example, the level of trust consumers have when engaging with Instagram. And there's one thing of what Preeti already mentioned is Instagram is a platform already trusted by consumers. That is why that's why they are actively using the platform, right? And brands can use this trust that Instagram builds through the platform to start interacting and building a stronger loyalty to their own brand. I think one of the other values when we're looking at Instagram is it's a familiar experience. So from my point of view, a remarkable feature of social commerce, and especially Instagram, is a quick and direct interaction between the buyers and sellers. And this is what makes the shopping experience so similar to traditional offline commerce. And I think there are also a couple of other factors that are playing into this. So for example, the ability to personalize and makes the discovery more easy. And obviously also the economy of scale, right? We just heard that India is a country of doer and builder. And I think what really excites me about Instagram is that compared to a traditional retailer, sellers or retailers on Instagram can offer a more attractive price to end customers because they don't have the overhead of space anymore. They don't have the overhead of additional workforce or dead inventory. And this is already what we're seeing, what gets into play. I think just one last point I want to make on this question is, we need to make sure, or brands need to make sure to have the ability to scale. So after creating this customer demand and interest, creating a seamless engagement at scale is crucial. So making sure that your solutions and your offerings are able to work on a one-on-one basis, right, for the mom and pop shop, but also for you to have the ability to actually scale the solutions to millions of customers at the same time. And I think that's where we can help you with our abilities of providing intelligent chatbots to your consumer base.
Great. Shraddha, I mean, all these, all the startups and all the smaller players, who are able to leverage, Instagram as their sales channels, are they open to subscribing to these tools and technologies in your understanding? Are they open to that? Are they open to invest into that?
Devesh, to this, I will answer that if you look at startups as a community and small businesses and startups, what you're saying, I think they're the most forward-looking people. No, that's why they start up, right? That's why they leave the conventional. So anything conventional, anything stable, anything which is uncertain, entrepreneurs embrace that, right? And that manifests into anything and everything that will bring tangible, real value to them, to any startup. And to me also, in my company also, I see that any technology or new things or any SaaS product that we use, there's always an openness. If it, in our case, it's like if anything increases our retention rate, right, on our platform, on our sites, if it leads to more traffic or funnel entries on our newsletter. So, so entrepreneurs are very, very open. And in fact, right now is the time, because if you see a lot of players, if you look at SaaS, India is today becoming the SaaS capital, right? And in the context, if you're asking about MessageBird, I'd heard about MessageBird from Vinay when he had mentioned it to me. I thought that it is the proposition is very clear. So I don't think so there should be any friction in people adopting and trying and seeing, because everyone wants to engage with their customers and nobody wants to not delight customers. those words which meant something today is a reality. You can't afford to annoy even one of your customers. And then if MessageBird enables that, then yes, people be, startups would be more than happy to leverage and use it.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Coming to you, Preeti, and picking up from where actually Shraddha left. So, you know, uh, what kind of messaging, actually, works for Instagram, enabling it as a sales channel? What are the key fundamentals, that one should put, into that messaging, together? And, when you started your presentation, you talked about beauty as a category, and, you have experiences across multiple categories. So can you share some insights and examples from those multiple categories, how messaging works in that?
Absolutely. Before I get into the nitty gritties of it, I would love to say that messaging is something that you want to keep it very, very unique, especially to your brand voice. Having extensively traveled and also being able to speak a little bit of Hindi and Punjabi, I've thoroughly enjoyed most of the experiences shopping in India. Think about it. There's no other place in any other country in the world that you will find someone willing to maybe open up like 10, 100, hundreds of Indian like traditional dresses for you. So that's the level of conversation and customer relationship building that we want you to bring from what you're already doing offline onto online. So Instagram is a platform where people connect to the brands, people, and things they love. Businesses are a core part of that ecosystem, as I mentioned in my presentation. And good communication is very, very critical to great customer experiences. Interestingly, in a recent survey we ran at Facebook, we found that the average business relies on 6 to 7 different communication channels just to keep up with communicating with their customers. 7 in 10 businesses surveyed believe that they're communicating with their customers very effectively. But on the flip side, only 2 in 10 customers surveyed agreed that businesses are communicating effectively with them. So there is definitely a gap there. Traditionally, care and commerce have been happening in silos, but that's not the case today anymore. It's very, very important to keep in mind that your consumers could be at any point at their purchase journey when they're interacting with you. So it is key to formulate the right messaging strategy. Focusing on frictionless and instantaneous responses are key to winning a customer. We found that 55% of people would buy from a brand that responds to them in a timely manner. Also, fortunate to have a lot of experience around the APAC region. I'd like to share with you guys Kiehl's in Malaysia as a great example of a brand that has wanted to use the platform to foster a closer connection with their consumers. However, their customer care agents found it very challenging to respond to the large volume of direct messages, comments, and Instagram stories it received from people. Kiehl's Malaysia needed a solution that could help them and help their team manage all of the inbound communication to ensure customer questions were answered and leads were converted. The conversational flow they built included automatic replies so that people who sent a message to Kiehl's would immediately receive a personalized message and a handover protocol technology that seamlessly transferred complex conversations such as consultations about products and solutions to the company's support agents. 2 months after launching the messaging solution, they saw 30% more qualified leads compared to other channels and 20% conversion rate from consultation to sales. There is no one size fits all strategy when it comes to communication. It really, really depends on your brand, the industry you're in, and what customers are expecting from you. Most times, all of this data lies within your company. So it's a great starting point to analyze how your customers are interacting with you today. What are their most frequently asked questions? How can you build a better experience for them and for your agents by using a mix of automation and live agent support?
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, Kumar said, no, you speak to a lot of retailers. You speak to all these across associations through the India. So when it comes to conversations, how do these guys prepare themselves for the conversations? Because at the end of the day, the whole crux that I'm able to understand here is that that the conversation needs to be very smooth, so that the customer is delighted, and it's all about creating a delightful customer experience at the end of the day. So how is the seller able to improve himself in that the entire conversation part, to use that right set of messaging, to use that right set of understanding, and talk to the consumer in a way in which he understands.
When you say conversations, I look at it from two parts. One is the conversations as traditionally being done by the retailers in this country, which is the offline conversations. And the fact is that we are a country of dukandars, right? There is one retailer for at least 100 customers. That's the way it is. At least one retailer per 100 customers. Now they cannot have survived and been still doing well other than by conversing with their own customers. Many a times, if you go to a nearby store, the guy is quite aware of who you are, what you do normally, and the conversation is more about various things other than necessarily the item that you want to go and buy. The item that you want to buy is taken for granted. You don't need to think about it. He doesn't even want to worry about it, right? At the end of the conversation, you ask, give me 2 items, and he gives you, and that's about all. But that's actually the way conversations happen. This is not very easy currently for them to think in terms of immediately converting into a digital mean. And that's where this thing comes in, right? But there are various tools getting done. Every day we are looking at new startups coming and showcasing new kinds of methods. New handholding is happening around there. Multiple language skills are coming in, which is wonderful. I think for this country, that language skill is an amazing part of what is happening currently. Every day I come across somebody who's giving me that solution that can convert the whole conversation into the language that the customer understands and the retailer understands, right? Is it smooth? I think for the larger segment of the offline world, not necessarily. The online retailers started off with that, right? I mean, they are not migrants, but the traditional retailers who were offline are now coming onto the online world. They are migrants to this world of online. It's not simple, but just like we have a whole lot of new dukandars coming in, there's a lot of new kinds of business startups coming in. I think Shraddha is seeing more of those people who are helping these shopkeepers do what they have to do. I think things will change. We can't think overnight, but everything is coming to that extent wherein I think things are going right. Language skills, yes. The ability to do payment systems and the digital payment in this country, absolutely amazing. The fact that all of us were able to really survive all through the pandemic because of this really affordable data with all of us is again a good story there with us. Everything I think is flowing the right way. There is very good tailwinds. We'll have to see where it lands.
Very interesting. Tim, how do you see small and big brands using Instagram as a sales channel in India in the next 5 years? I mean, like, how do you see the growth in the number?
Yeah, it's a great question. And maybe let's take one step back and also let's evaluate a couple of other countries to put this in perspective. So when we're looking into, let's look at China for a moment. China has witnessed the power of bringing together e-commerce and social media. So social commerce already accounts for nearly 13% of all online retail sales taking place inside of China. So it has been proven to be an effective channel for reaching underserving consumers and giving small and medium-sized businesses an affordable and straightforward way to create an online presence, right? And at the same time, it's also important for large retailers and large e-commerce stores to keep up with those channels to ensure they're protecting their market space. So when we're coming now back to India, so according to Bain & Company, social commerce in India, in terms of gross merchandise value, was estimated roughly around 2 billion in 2020. So this space is projected to reach by 2025, as you mentioned at the beginning of our series, that this segment will reach somewhere around 60 to 20 billion by 2025. And by 2030, 60 to 70 billion. So it will become important to retailers, independently of the size, to get familiar with this topic and understand how they can do customer service through those channels, do marketing and customer acquisitions to ensure that they stay relevant within their consumer base. So at the same time, while e-commerce drove the first wave of online customers, I personally expect that discovery-driven shopping and social commerce, rather than actually search-based shopping, will bring us the new era of e-commerce. So social commerce in India is still in its early stage, right? I think we can agree on this, but I think there's a great chance and a great promise for new players to grow and take a good chunk of the market.
Great. Shada, how do you see the growth of social commerce in India, especially with new startups coming, new products coming, and then they're coming up with newer technologies. So how do you see the growth of this entire phenomenon, and also the youth? I mean, spending more and more time on social media.
Devesh, so the number in the beginning, we said that, right, you mentioned that right now India is at $2 billion of the spend that is happening on social media. So the estimates say that 70 billion, it would be around 2028 to 2030. And with pandemic, we're thinking, and the numbers, the way the numbers are getting revised, that it will become very significant and large. Tim mentioned that in China, it's 13%. In India, it is still not there in terms of that number, because social is building up, and e-commerce, if you see e-commerce right now, it's still around 8 to 10%, right? And that too with all the capital and everything that has gone in. But right now, if you see, we are the largest democracy in terms of internet users. Now with the pandemic, we have 800 million users on internet. So no more, we are just talking about 1.3 billion Indians, which we talk, and it's a massive number, but now 800 million people are on digital. And all of us across in the last 18 months have seen how digital businesses, how the numbers have grown in all businesses, all categories. And I think social commerce would be, with the tailwinds, as Kumar said, social commerce is seeing that kind of rise. Look at Meesho, the kind of valuation, right? It did not just became unicorn, it has become significantly larger. I was last night spending time with him in terms of, we were talking on how he's enabling women and all that, and whatever the things that he's doing. But there's a huge segue. And the interesting thing is, the news doing round is that Flipkart, which is an e-commerce company, is looking at social commerce, and Meesho, which is social commerce, is looking at e-commerce. So the lines are also blurring. And as Tim said, e-commerce and social media, right? That those worlds are blurring as fast. And with the capital now, the kind of capital the startup ecosystem is getting, and this year we have seen $17 billion already invested, right? New capital which has come in and got invested. I think social commerce is the way to go, and it will only grow and increase. And last count we looked at, we had around 260 social commerce platforms in the country, startups in the country. So yeah, so there's massive space for growth and the user base to grow.
Great. Preeti, probably you can give us an APAC view on this.
Yeah, sure. So, the ecosystems, right, are the ones that drive a lot of adoption among on every platform, right? Like businesses and brands, one thing, the ecosystem and the SMB ecosystem, another thing completely, right? So across APAC, we've seen a lot of adoption on social commerce and e-commerce. Take example for countries like Thailand, where I'm from, right? Most brands or businesses don't even have a website. Everything is done socially on Facebook and on Instagram, right? So you go live, you showcase your products, people are interested, they message you, they get in touch with your agents, and then they purchase a product and they get delivery confirmation, and that's it. So it's become very, very simple. That's exactly what customers want, for you to simplify it, not, go to your website, check this product, chat with me on another platform, check out on another platform, use a specific card. You have to eliminate all of these frictions, right, along the whole journey. So that's how we are seeing the race towards frictionless experiences. That's where we completely are right now across APAC.
Great. And I have, some really great questions coming in from audiences. So, I'll share it with you all. The first one is, how do you decide which communication channel to use at which point in the interaction, and also as per the customer type?
Yeah, maybe I'm gonna take this one. I like this question. So I think it always, so we at MessageWeb believe to put our customer front and center. And I think the easiest way to decide which channel to choose is to actually ask your customer which channel he would like to choose. So we see great value when customers or brands are actually offering different channels to engage with your consumers. You maybe want to receive your booking order or like your purchase order via email, but an urgent notification you maybe want to receive over WhatsApp, and you maybe want to do your purchase through Instagram. So my recommendation to brands is listen to your customers and put your customers front and center, and they will tell you how they actually would like to engage with you.
Brilliant. I think Preeti would like to take this one. How do you make the decision between using WhatsApp versus in-app chat communications?
So, well, first is, do you have an app, right? It's not everybody who has an app. So if you have an app and you want to communicate with that specific set of audiences, then definitely in-app is one way. But think about it from the whole band of customers that's there. The customers that are on your app are your loyal customers, right? How are you then catering to customers who are potential customers who are just starting to dip their toes in the water with your brand, right? So again, like there's a plethora of platforms, and within Facebook itself, we have so many platforms for messaging that we also see the differences. It really, at the end of the day, as what Tim says, depends where your audience is. If your audience is on WhatsApp, if your audience is on Instagram. But nowadays, those lines are also blurring because brands are everywhere. People are everywhere, right? So at the end of the day, right, it's a trial and error method, if I may use. You have to build, learn, iterate, build again, right? So that is how you keep up with your consumers. There is no way that you can build an experience and expect a set of consumers to react to it or even interact with it in a way that you can imagine, because every human being is different. The way I interact on Instagram versus the way I interact on WhatsApp is very different. For me personally, Instagram is for commerce, for shopping. WhatsApp is for family. So it really, really, is completely. It's a question that I know that you will not like the answer, but it really depends.
No, great. Great, guys. There are a lot of questions that have come, so I cannot put them all on the screen, but they were, these two were some of the most significant ones. It was lovely having you, all guys, onto the panel, and some of the takeaways, that I actually got from the session, as a curious listener and as a keen learner, was like, Instagram can actually help you, nationalize your business and expand your entire distribution chain. And, I mean, like if messaging is put right, you can create some really delightful customer experiences, for your brand. And I really, love one line, the world is localized, I mean, like, India is a country of, where you mentioned, Chadana, that India is a country of startup entrepreneurs. And these are the guys, who are starting up because they want to look forward, and they'll be developing all the tools and technologies, to increase the reach, to connect with more people, and to localize the world. So on that note, I thank you all for joining us, and I thank all the audiences, for joining us and being a part of this event. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.